It's 2 a.m., Osaka, Japan. Inside this plane is a stolen car. But not just any car, this is a priceless Ferrari F40, and it was stolen by one of the most prolific car theft rings in history. Their targets included some of the most valuable cars on the planet and some of the most famous drivers. But why Japan? And how did they get away with it for so long? My name's Jimmy, and today in the Lore Garage, we're talking about why Japan has become a black hole for Ferraris. Like any good story out of Japan, it starts back in the 1980s when their economy was booming and money was everywhere. Companies were handing out free cars and a full year's salary up front just for signing on. Japanese banks were even buying Van Gogh paintings to hang in their lobbies. With all this excess cash, high-end European cars became the ultimate status symbol. Kind of like how we nerd out about JDM cars, except in reverse and with way more money. I mean, look no further than some of the cars in the Midnight Club. Lamborghini Countach, Yoshida Special 930 Turbo, good taste. Even with importers like Yanase and Mizawa bringing in tens of thousands of European cars every year, Japan still didn't have enough Ferraris for all those sweaty, drunk salarymen. And when you've got that kind of mismatch between the supply and demand and a whole lot of wealth to throw around, crime ain't far behind. Some entrepreneurs saw an opportunity to make a lot of money. They just needed some cars to sell. One of their first targets was a Ferrari 288 GTO, an ultra rare car built for Group B rally racing. So sick. But cars like this usually aren't just parked in a driveway right off the street. And with only 272 ever built, it's not as easy as finding a Dodge Charger in a parking lot to steal. These thieves had to do their homework. They had to track down several 288s, scout locations, pick a target, take the car, and then figure out how to get the car to Japan without looking too sus. It all had to be meticulously planned out, especially with a car this recognizable. These weren't just no Kia boys. These guys were professionals. By 1987, the first heist was a go. The thief showed up to Cannes, France, 30 miles outside of Monaco, posing as an exotic car dealer. The details are a little hazy, but we do know he was so convincing that he was allowed to take the car from where it was being stored in broad daylight, using some very convincing paperwork. What? The stolen Ferrari was then sent to Spain, where customs inspections were a little bit more lax, and put on a ship run by a legit transport business. No Hollywood escape, no sketchy boat waiting at a dock in the middle of nowhere. It all looked totally normal. But once the car left Europe, the trail went cold. We now know, though, that it was sent to Dubai, where it was given a brand new identity before being flown to Japan. Once the car was there, registering it was actually pretty easy. Thanks to a mix of Japanese law and culture, the histories of these imported Ferraris were basically erased at the border. And culturally, Japan places a strong emphasis on not butting into other people's business. Except when you make a video game with rip-off Pokemon shooting guns at each other. It's a mindset known as Mendokusai, which basically means it's a hassle. If the paperwork looked good enough, questioning it was seen as unnecessary or downright rude. How dare this guy question me on my paperwork? My papers are good. This is good paperwork right here. All right? This car is stolen, though. It's definitely stolen. And once the car was registered, it was Golden Week. It didn't matter if it was discovered to be stolen years later because there was no law that forced the car to be given up. It didn't really disappear. It just set up residence. The car was Japanese now. It always had been, and it always would be. Soon, tons of Ferraris were following the same pipeline as the 288. Steal a car in a wealthy Mediterranean town, get the car to a Spanish port, ship the car to Dubai, give the car a new identity, and then fly the car to Japan and register it. With this process in place, business was a-booming. In fact, the pipeline became so established and efficient that customers weren't just buying whatever these dudes had in their inventory. They were ordering cars, and the thieves would sometimes have these custom orders stolen and on their way to Japan in as little as 48 hours. I know it sounds too crazy to be true, but a lot of these incidents are well documented in Japanese police records as this word, which I don't know how to say, but it means custom ordered theft. These guys eventually got so good at this that they set their sights even higher. Rare Ferraris get a good price, but rare Ferraris that belong to F1 drivers get even gooder prices.
You son of a... I'm in!
On Friday, April 28th, 1995, Formula One was at Imola for the San Marino Grand Prix. Ferrari driver Gerhard Berger had just finished a practice session, and he was ready to get back to his hotel and eat some of that all-you-can-eat breadsticks from Olive Garden after a long day at the racetrack.
Ooh, breadsticks.
As he was pulling up to his hotel, he saw two guys hopping into a Ferrari 512 LM parked out front. That was his Ferrari. Berger jumped out of the car and yelled at the thieves and stood in front of his Ferrari to block them from leaving. The thieves floored it, and Berger jumped out of the way at the last second. The F1 driver then jumped into a friend's Volkswagen Golf that was parked nearby and chased after them. Berger used every bit of his F1 training to try and keep up, but the Ferrari was just way too fast. I mean, it's a Ferrari versus a Volkswagen Golf. Later that same weekend, his teammate John Alesi's Ferrari F355 was stolen as well. Both Ferraris eventually ended up in Japan. Talk about an Italian job, am I right? Must be something in those breadsticks. Honestly, I think the valet guys are in on this. I would question them first. In the late 90s and early 2000s, the Ferrari Theft Express was evolving from Ponyta to Rapidash. The hot new Ferrari was the F50. The 349th and last F50 rolled off the line in 1997. Buyers were handpicked by Ferrari, and they were pretty much impossible to get otherwise unless you had an international theft ring at your disposal. The first attempt at stealing an F50 was in 1998 when thieves took one right under the owner's nose while he was at a track day in Mugello. And they actually didn't get very far with it. The thieves weren't caught, but the car was found nearby before they were able to get it out of the country. Something spooked them. The car was sold to someone in the United Kingdom that same year. But the thieves, well, they kept tabs on it and they waited for a chance to strike again. Their chance came in October 2001 when its British owner drove it to Lake Como in Italy. They swiped it from a hotel, got it out of the country, repainted it white, and shipped it to Japan. Hotel, again. Bet you it's the valet guy. One of the last high-profile Ferrari thefts was another F50 in March 2003. This car was also taken in Italy and popped up in Japan just 3 months later. Since then, it's passed through multiple owners. So what happened to these cars or the theft ring? Information about these crimes has been coming out really slowly. Most of the thefts we know about are from Ferraris that were eventually exported out of Japan. Remember that F40? It was taken from Italy in 1998 and popped up 17 years later on a Japanese auction site. During an inspection in Osaka, something didn't quite add up, and the VIN ended up on the forum Ferrari chat. The community noticed the VIN was identical to another F40 registered in the United States. The buyer walked away, and the listing disappeared. But a few months later, the car was tied to a registration in Montana, and like everyone in LA, with Montana plates, I'm sure the owner actually lives there. The 288 GTO that was stolen in France in 1987 was later tied to a wider theft ring that operated into the early 90s. The big boss was arrested, but never extradited, and by the time the car resurfaced decades later, its original French owner had passed away. As for the F1 driver thefts, Alesi's F355 was never found, but Berger's 512 LM reappeared in 2023, 28 years after it was stolen. It had been shipped from Japan to a broker in the United Kingdom who was planning to send it to a buyer here in the States. The buyer had a Ferrari dealer check out the car before it was shipped, and the VIN caught Ferrari's attention. They flagged it as stolen to the London police, who then seized the car 4 days later. And the F50s, the one that was stolen twice, is living a very public life in Japan. The owner actually takes it to track days, funny enough. The other one was seized by US Customs at the Canadian border in December 2019 when custom officials noticed the VIN had been tampered with. Its buyer, Florida man Mohammed Alasi, and its original owner, Paolo Provenzi, have both claimed the car as theirs. And as of this recording, the court still hasn't made a decision on who's gonna get the car. It's just been sitting in Buffalo, New York for over 6 years. That sucks. Imagine living it up in Italy and Japan, and then you're living it up in old Buffalo. And you had a flight ticket to Miami, but now they've just canceled your vacation. That would suck. Now, the craziest part of this whole story is apart from that one dude from the 288 theft, no one's ever really been caught. This Europe to Japan pipeline has worked for nearly 40 years. And these cars are just some of the ones we know about. Who knows how many are still out there? And what we do know is that these theft rings are still operating. While digital databases and the modern internet have made smuggling more difficult, the rising popularity of JDM imports to the United States and Dubai have made it so they don't need to steal exotic cars in Europe anymore. They can just do it in their backyard. But that's just a theory. A car theory. Guys, thank you so much for watching the Lore Garage series. I've had a blast making these. I want to make more because I'm trapped in this digital space now and there's no way for me to get out. Remember, cherish all the moments you make because you really never know when the sun's gonna blow up. Bye.
New merch collab alert for you guys. Hardcore Tokyo and Donut coming together for 2 t-shirts. You guys probably saw the Pocket Bunny on social media. This shirt right here is commemorating that awesome car. You might remember back when Jimmy went to Japan. June from Hardcore, he was in there and probably had one of the best quotes ever on the channel.
Never gas ref, no softcore. Gotta go to the hardcore style. Yeah.
This has been a long time in the making. I'm super stoked on this collab. You can get yours right now at donutmedia.com. Hardcore Tokyo, Donut, boom. That was a weird way to end that.
Yo, you made it to the end of the video, dude. I'm so stoked. If you have some spare time, check out this video on Bugatti.